So I grew up with my dad. Um, my mum left when I was about 8 years old. Um, so my dad raised me along with my little brother and my older brother. My sister was living in a home in Wynnum, and she was raised as a Baptist. Yeah. Um, so with my dad, I wasn't really raised Christian as per se. My dad was a practicing Catholic when he was younger, and sometimes we'd say our prayers before bedtime or something. Maybe offer up our Father to the poor hungry people and all that sort of thing. Yeah. So I also we had this storybook from the Jehovah's Witnesses called My Book of Bible Stories. So I actually used to harass my mum and dad to read it to me, and I'd read it myself sometimes too. Yeah. So I was sort of captivated by the beautiful pictures of paradise and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So that captured my imagination as well. So yeah. No church at all. Yeah, so probably the closest thing to church I would have had would be RI at school. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I used to just talk to God, just when I was walking along the waterfront to school and stuff yeah. So I think in that way God was just a friend to me when I was younger. Yeah, yeah. I got bullied a lot at school, so I didn't really have a lot of friends, and my mum had left and all that type of thing. So especially when I came into high school, um, things sort of went a bit wrong. Yeah. Yeah, but I kind of remember talking to God and sort of wrestling with that, with, actually having friends and going the wrong way in life, and as opposed to, staying with Him. So I used to have a lot of faith in just that things wouldn't go wrong. I was probably one of those typical teenagers that thought I was bulletproof. So when I was about 14 years old, a man came through my window, he broke in there and beat me up, and I screamed to get my father. And he heard him come down, and he ran out the window. But that kind of made me feel pretty afraid and alone in the world, sort of thing. I never actually got counselling or anything for it, so it was I suffered a bit of PTSD there for a while. Was afraid of the dark and afraid of being alone and all that type of thing. Yeah. So after that happened, I seemed to probably gravitate towards having a boyfriend type of thing all the time. And in one of those times, we were in the city, and there was someone who was handing out those little books, those little Bible. It was the Gospel of John. Yeah, and I remember that I'd gone through a tough time with the boyfriend at the time, and we split up, and I just remember crying and then I just started reading this book, and when it got to the part about repenting your sins and letting Jesus into my heart, I did. I did that. Yeah. So, but unfortunately, though, I didn't have any planting in a church or anything like that. So it didn't really sort of stick with me. I got married and started having kids at about 23 years old. Yeah, so young by today's standards. So yeah, my marriage fell apart though. My then husband, he like started like using drugs and drinking and being abusive. I remember one time he punched a hole in the wall right beside my head. Yeah, and things were getting quite bad. Like he was spending all the money, and I remember I had to work at a strawberry farm just to like put food on the table, and he was meant to be paying the mortgage. But like I later on found out that he wasn't paying the mortgage for the last few months of the marriage anyway, so it was all sort of going on drug use. So so it was pretty hard. Basically, I was sort of like in this pattern in my life where I needed to be in a relationship because like I just had this big God-sized hole in my heart type of thing. So after Stuart, I had another long-term relationship for about 9 years. That didn't work out either, and I stayed in it too long. There came a time where sort of everything was just like working together, and my depression was just like getting really bad. So after I broke up with that second long-term relationship, I was in a space where I was very broken. And my dad, he was going to Connect Church, and so he invited me along, and it felt like at each sermon that they were talking to me, like it really felt like it was for me. It was amazing. And then one day our pastor was preaching about being in the body of the church and how that kept your faith. So I just decided then and there that I was going to keep coming to church every week, and I made a commitment. And then week after week, I was like being convicted, but still having trouble with like letting go of my sin, like that sort of need to be with someone. But I eventually got to the point, because I was just so down, that I decided that I needed to just give in my will, basically. I decided that I wasn't going to do it my way, I was going to do it God's way from now on. And that's what I did. And things have been a lot better ever since. So after I made my commitment to God to do things His way and to let go of my sin, He's been working in my life ever since to make sure that that's happened. I've just totally transformed as a person. I don't feel that need to be in a relationship or attached to anyone, so I'm a lot less vulnerable. And I feel like the love that I've been missing all of my life has been filled by God. So my mum leaving, my father being who he was, none of that matters anymore, and I can just forgive people because I've got that love in my life now. He is jealous for me. Love's like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. When all of a sudden I'm unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful